then wow, that's embarrassing for me. I am taking the L on this one, but you don't know what you're talking about. Hello, welcome back to my channel, Knits by Mandy. My name is Amanda, and today I have the 12th episode of the Knits by Mandy podcast. I'm in a bit of a different location today because there's some construction noise outside my apartment and I have my headphones in so I can kind of drown it out. But hopefully everything is good once I kind of edit everything all together. But we're back on the couch, so it's actually a familiar spot because this is where I used to film my podcast episodes. So I follow a pretty standard format here. We'll start by talking about my finished object. I also have a WIP to share with you all. And then I actually have a few acquisitions, which is a bit abnormal for my podcast to share with you. I just did a video on my spring planning, so I'll talk a little bit about that when I show you my acquisitions, but a more in-depth review of my spring plans is up on my channel. I just uploaded that last week. And then I'll talk about what media I've been consuming this month, what I've been watching and listening to while I knit. Let's start with my first and only finished object of this month, which is the Marysia cardigan. The Marysia cardigan is a newer pattern by Alexandra from Vert and Rose Knitting. I actually saw this pattern come out. I know Alexandra of Alexandra's Garn tested it, and I saw it while I was making, I might have Sassy come join us for the podcast. Saw a picture for it as I was making the Whitmore cardigan, which I made earlier this year, and I thought, I absolutely need to have that cardigan. I was really attracted to the faux cabling and the overall fit. It seemed like a very classic fit, but also it just had this like fun element that I couldn't really put my finger on, but I was very attracted to. And I know that I had a lot of fun last fall when I made my anchored sweater, playing with texture, and I thought, okay, let's do it, even though I just made a cardigan. And I posted a comparison of those two cardigans on my Instagram, which I'll talk about later, but let's just talk about the basics of this sweater. Fit with Knitting for Olive Merino held double in the color Dusty Artichoke, a pretty popular colorway, and I knitted it on the suggested needle size of 4.5 needles. I used up exactly 8 balls. I played a very close game of yarn chicken with the sleeves. So I would note that for this pattern, I'm just remembering that the cabling or the faux cabling may take up a little bit more yarn than you usually expect it to. The size 3, I believe I made almost near gauge, and I think the fit is really good. I'm really happy with the fit of this sweater. It is a raglan design, and there's also German short row shaping when you start the sweater for the shoulders, which I really ended up liking. And then the last part is the buttons, which I got a lot of comments that people really like the buttons. They are these daisy buttons that I just got on Etsy. I'll link them down below, but if you just search like flower buttons or daisy buttons, they have them on Etsy in a whole bunch of different colors. So the only modification that I made to this sweater was that I added a little bit of length. I'm not sure if it was a gauge issue or what, but when I got to the suggested length, it just seemed way too small. I'll kneel up here a little bit. I think it was around here that was the suggested length, and that didn't seem long enough for me. So I ended up adding a buttonhole here. This is technically extra, and this one's kind of, my buttonholes got a little messed up, but added just an extra buttonhole kind of repeat, which is I think about 6 or 7 centimeters in between the buttonholes. So I added about 6 or 7 centimeters of length to the suggested length of this sweater, and I'm very happy with the overall fit, the ease, the color. I think this is the perfect spring sweater. I wanted to finish it before my birthday, and I was able to do that, which was great. Got to wear it when my parents came to town to visit, and it was just lovely. I think I'm gonna go to the cherry blossoms this evening with my boyfriend, and we'll take some pictures. I think I might bring this and the Whitmore cardigan just to get some pictures because it'll be so pretty, and these are just like spring pieces. The one thing I wanted to note about this pattern is I would definitely say it is for an intermediate knitter, and I try not to be kind of prescriptive about those kinds of things on knitting or on my channel because it's just like so many people have different kinds of experiences. But what I would note about this is I wouldn't recommend this pattern to someone who hasn't made a raglan before, just because how the pattern is written. Alexandria gives you a lot of great instructions for the German short rows, so those are all written out instructions, and making sure that you can stay with the faux cabling pattern as you're making those short rows. So I didn't find that particularly challenging. But then afterwards, the instructions are just a little sparse about raglan increases, and just how to like construct a raglan cardigan. I think you could find a pattern maybe that held your hand a little bit more. That's something I talk about a lot also, but it's possible. You could definitely do it, but I think you could find a pattern that has a little bit more in-depth instruction if you wanted to start with that and then move on to this. But overall, I'm very happy with it. I'm not sure if I would ever make another one, just because I think this is so unique and so pretty by itself, and I think it's such a great piece. I'm just really pleased and happy with it. And since I did just finish the Whitmore cardigan, I thought I'd take some time to compare the two. And overall, I think the Whitmore cardigan, which I made this winter, it's a circle lace yoke cardigan that I made with the merino and mohair. It's a pretty similar gauge, but I do just think I will get more wear out of this because I didn't use mohair. I don't think I'll really be using too much mohair in the future, maybe for accessories and things like that, but at the end of the day, it's just not super practical. It obviously makes a really warm sweater, but I talk about the weather a lot, you know, of where I live, and the winters are pretty moderate. They're not as bad as the winters I grew up in Pittsburgh, which is only like 4 hours away, 4 hours north of DC. So I just don't need that many mohair sweaters. And so for that reason, that sweater almost feels a little bit fancier to me. It doesn't feel necessarily suited for everyday wear. I'm really happy I made it because it's such a different and unique piece, and I'm still very happy with it. But I think I'll just get more legwork, or I'll just get more, what's the word? I guess what's the word I'm looking for? I'll just get more work out of this sweater than I think I would the Marysia, and that's fine. I think all of our knits can serve different purposes.
Hello, it is Editing Amanda, and I have one more thing that I wanted to add about my comparisons of the sweaters, and that is the fit and the construction, which are related. So the Whitmore cardigan is a circle yoke and the Marysia is a raglan, and I just feel like the raglan sweater fits me so much better. The Marysia fits me better. It has short row shaping for the shoulders, and the Whitmore just doesn't do that. And I find that the neck is very wide. And I think that just happens with circular yokes. They can kind of stretch out like that. They can be a little kind of shapeless around the shoulders. So I would just note that. I don't know how often I'll go for circular yokes in the future for that reason. Unless I can figure out a way to maybe hack short row shaping, or if they have any kind of shoulder shaping. But it's just something that, like, it's very pretty, but at the end of the day, it doesn't give you the most tailored fit possible, in my opinion. So that's just another thing where I feel like I tried to knit the Whitmore with a small amount of ease, and it does have a small amount of ease, but because of the circular yoke, it's never going to be like, you know. But that's just a note when you're kind of thinking about the constructions of your patterns and how they might fit. I hadn't knit a raglan in a while, and I was just like, the fit, very nice. I was really happy with it. So more raglans next fall.
Favorite thing about this sweater definitely has to be the raglan increases. They're all done in pattern. I do think I made a mistake in my counting in these kind of upward chains, or upward, I don't know what you would call these, like these upward cables, but I can't really tell a difference, and it kind of all evens out in the end. So it's not a big deal to me. That's the kind of thing that won't bother me too much, or if at all, and I don't think it's the kind of thing that you would notice unless I pointed out. Unless you've been staring at it this whole time, then wow, that's embarrassing for me. So that is my Marysia cardigan. I'm very happy with it. I just love the knitting for olive merino. I love the texture of it. I love the look of it. It doesn't have like a sheen. It's very matte, obviously because it's a wool, but I just love it. I really do love it, especially for sweaters, and I think this will be a great transitional piece. I can wear, you know, a tank top underneath it in the spring, and maybe a turtleneck if I really need to in the winter, but it's really great. The one thing I'll note is I do think these buttons are very cute, but I don't know if it has to do with both the button size and the hole size. They're not, I don't know if maybe I got the wrong size. Maybe they could be a little bigger. They're not great at staying closed unless I kind of have them all closed. So I would note that. I'm more likely probably just to wear my cardigans open, but if you're a buttoned up girly and you like that look, I would just maybe be mindful of the daisy buttons, or maybe a different material, or get them in a bigger size so that they go through the buttonhole better. I'm getting ready to kind of graduate from sweater knitting for the season and move on to other things. Before that, I have one more sweater to knit, and I've been talking about this on my Instagram stories, so it might be familiar if you follow me over there. And it is in this bag that I won in a coincidentally giveaway that Vert and Rose Alexandra was doing, and I won it on my birthday. So this is my little birthday gift that I got. This is a project bag by this company called Mud, and it's like a genuine leather bag that has like all these zipper enclosures. I think this is a Danish company, and then it has a bunch of pockets on the inside, which you can't really see because I put all my stuff in it. But I don't necessarily know if I'll see myself like taking this out of the house, to be honest with you. It's not necessarily the most practical shape, but it did come with like a long strap, and it is honestly pretty cute to have in my house. So really kind of a special thing that I won. I feel like I never win giveaways, so that was pretty cool. So let's pull out the Harlow sweater, and I will show it to you all. I had a little bit of a touch and go situation with this sweater because of the yarn color, and I'll talk about that in a second. But this is what it looks like so far. I know I have some other videos of me trying it on as well that I can share. And this is the Harlow V-neck sweater edition. This is the Harlow sweater V-neck edition by Caidree, and I'm knitting it in Primrose Yarn Co. Roan DK in the colorway Fossil, which is this beautiful, like deep, dusty purple. It's just gorgeous. I'm obsessed with this color. I think it's so pretty. And this is a drop shoulder design sweater with 2x2 ribbing, a folded collar, a V-neck collar, and it will have 2x2 split. It'll have a 2x2 split hem. I'm very happy so far with this sweater. It's a very simple, basic design. So it is a drop shoulder sweater. You start by making the back. You do some short row shaping, and then you pick up for the shoulders and you shape the V-neck. Very easy peasy. If you haven't made a drop shoulder sweater before, this would be a great first one to try. And it has this beautiful seaming, this I-cord edging that I really, really like, that goes throughout the whole sweater. Now I did make a mistake here when I was picking up stitches for the collar. I decided not to go back and fix it because who's looking at the back of my neck? I'm not. And I think the most prominent part of this sweater and design is the seam on the shoulders. So I am taking the L on this one. I just decided not to. I had to pick up stitches, I think, a few times to make sure I got the right count. So I think by the time I finished, and I honestly couldn't tell until I started knitting that these were a little different. Like I said, I think blocking will help it a little bit. It still just might look wonky. I'm okay with that. Again, that's a mistake that I can live with. So I talked about the yarn for this sweater in my last video, so I won't go too in depth, but I bought this at Rhinebeck. This is like very special, kind of a splurge yarn for me, which I've been really like happy to work with. And I'm actually vlogging making this sweater, and so you'll get to see like the more in-depth of me, making it and going through that process. And when I put on the collar, I was starting to feel like the yarn was a lot darker. I used up 2 whole skeins, and when I got to the end of that second skein, I'll say, okay, I'll stop knitting on the body for now and knit the collar because I want to see what it looks like. And it also helps me, I think, get some momentum for my projects to kind of switch up the order. I did that with my Marysia cardigan. I put the body on hold and I knit the collar and the first sleeve, and then I finished knitting the body, and then I think I knit the second sleeve. So just switching up the order. Usually I would just do kind of what the pattern instructs and just finishing the body and the sleeves and then finishing with the collar. But I like switching up the order. It also helps you get a better idea of what your sweater is going to look like. So if you're ever kind of feeling maybe bored, that's something you can always do. I always kind of felt like it was too much of a production to put stuff on hold, but I didn't even put these on hold. I just had an extra needle that I could use for the collar, and use like a knitting barber cord just to make sure that my stitches didn't fall off. Stitches for the collar, and I don't know how well, I'm looking in my mirror. I don't know how well you can see it here, but I really felt that the collar was a different color than the yoke, and that might be true, but it also isn't that big of a deal. But then I was worried about joining the new skein into the body, and I hadn't been alternating skeins, even though I'm pretty sure in my last video that you watched, if you watched my last podcast episode, you would see that I said, I'm going to try out helical knitting. And then I just didn't do that for the yoke because I think I got too excited and I was being lazy, to be honest with you. I was just being lazy. And then I was like, oh darn, I'm worried. But then, as you can see, I started blending the skeins, doing helical knitting, and I don't see really any harsh lines or things like that. So I think the difference in skeins was a little bit different than, or a little maybe less exaggerated than I thought. I do think there is a slight difference. I think it's hard to show you now. You'll be able to see when I post the vlog, because I only have this much left of that original skein that I ripped back. But I do feel like these have a slight difference. It maybe in person. I don't know if you can tell. This one feels just a little bit more muted and less like plummy and a little like almost like toned down a little, and this one seems a little darker. I'm gonna continue forward. I'm actually not too worried. I posted on my Instagram story with this dilemma, and a lot of you responded with advice and, letting me know whether you saw a difference or if you didn't, and if you think like what you thought I should do. And I just really appreciate that. I think that's, one of the things that keeps me on social media, if not the main thing that keeps me on social media, is the openness of the community and how willing people are to help. I really appreciate it, and I've learned so much just by interacting with folks and, consuming hours on hours of YouTube content. So I just appreciate that, and I appreciate you being here in any capacity. So I just wanted to share that. I was just like, this was so helpful because I was really kind of going back and forth and almost feeling like going a little crazy, being like, I can't tell the difference. So it can be really validating to just hear opinions from other people, even if they don't align with yours, right? Like I knew I could, if I showed this to my boyfriend, he'd be like, it looks fine. And I'm like, that's great, but you don't know what you're talking about. I need people that know what they're talking about, and I need people that have the knowledge. So I was like, I need to put this on Instagram. So appreciate your help there, if you helped. And yeah, I'm just very excited about this. I am kind of honestly trying to bang it out because I am excited for spring knits. And if you watch my planning video, you'll maybe see why. But I'm just stretching my leg out. But I'm very excited. I think this is definitely going to become a staple piece in my wardrobe. I can see me wearing it hopefully in a little bit in the spring here before it gets too cold, but definitely once the weather turns. It's in a great color. I love the V-neck. I really don't have a V-neck drop shoulder. Yeah, and I think the last drop shoulder I made was my Ingrid sweater, so I'm excited to have this in my wardrobe and in this beautiful color. One thing that I've noticed about the yarn, and I don't know if you'll be able to see here, maybe less so in these balls of yarn, but in the first balls of yarn that I was using, like a lot of black fibers are just coming out of the yarn, and that's not something that I've dealt with before. I do know this is like a locally milled yarn, and I say this, I'm not a yarn expert, but I've just found that interesting. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other, but I thought I'd mention it if you're considering purchasing this yarn. It doesn't feel itchy at all. Like the fabric of this is very stretchy, and it is a superwash and merino mix. I didn't mention that, but I do mention that in previous videos. It's 60% superwash merino and 40% merino. And the effect is that it's supposed to kind of give you the best of both properties, give that memory to superwash, but also make it like a durable, non-pilling yarn. You might be able to see here, there are some of those black fibers. I wonder what it looks like on the lighter colors, because on this you really can't tell unless you're looking for it. But I just found that interesting. I don't know if I necessarily expected that, but I don't have a strong opinion about it really either way. So I thought I'd just note that. But so far so good on the sweater. I'm again enjoying it, and I love how it's looking so far. So stay tuned. Hopefully this will be finished by the end of April in my next episode. I think I'll have it done before that. Moving on to some yarn acquisitions that I want to share with you all. I have two different orders that I have, and the second one's an unboxing, which is fun. And if you saw my planning video, you may have seen these first two yarns already, but I'll share them again, for posterity's sake. And I'm very excited to use them. These are two yarns by Terrapin Fiberworks, which is a local to me dyer based in Maryland. And Terrapin Fiberworks, I keep saying fireworks. Fiberworks, they only dye on plant-based yarns. So if you're looking for, hand-dyed plant-based yarns, she has cotton and linen blends, Pima cotton, and then also I believe Tencel, which is a plant-based rayon. This is the first one, and this is the Potomac DK and the colorway Onion, and it is 75% cotton and 45% linen. I got both DK weights just because I'm feeling a little lazy, and I explain a little bit more why in my planning video. But this is a beautiful speckled variegated yarn with pinks and dark pinks. This was from her farmer's market collection, so everything was named after different vegetables and foods. So this one was onion, and this green one is fennel. So this is the cotton and linen blend. I really like linen. I like linen pants. I like store-bought linen items, and I think it's a great fabric for the summer. And this is the Chesapeake DK, which is just cotton in the colorway fennel. And this is a green, almost green yellow colorway. I will say this is a bit more yellow than I was anticipating. It's very kind of shocking and bright, but it is also gorgeous. I think I'm going to make the Soho top by Caidree with this, which is a garter stitch tank top. I don't know what I'm doing with this yet, so we'll have to figure it out. I think I can find something fun to make with this, but I was a little like, ooh, when I opened the package, and there's some more kind of yellow pieces that I wasn't expecting, but can you see Sassy?
Oh, hello.
She wants to show you my yarn. So yeah, these are the two yarns from them, and like I said, I don't know what I'm going to do with this one yet, but I'm excited to make the Soho top with this. Yeah, just something fun and a little different, and I think very very pretty. So I'm excited to use those. The second acquisition that I have is actually, I'm gonna do a little unboxing. I got it from the mailroom today, and I'll talk a little bit about my plan for these yarns before I open them, just, you know, to create suspense. As you can see, I'm sitting in my living room and I have a Target banner on my wall, and you can't really see the whole thing, but it says Sassy's Home because we put this up for our housewarming that we had back in February. We have pictures and other things up and prints all over our apartment, but we haven't decorated this wall yet. And I was really taking inspiration from a very kind of basic but popular thing that I'm seeing online, which is people using Matisse paintings. I know like the Matisse kind of his abstract works are popular, and also some of his paper cutout works are popular. And I don't know why I was probably drawn to this due to kind of that influence, but I thought, why don't I recreate something like that on a tapestry, like a crochet tapestry. I was kind of getting the itch. I'm kind of, you know, working through the stockinette sweater. I'm really kind of excited to work on something new. So I decided to take some inspiration from one of Matisse's paper cutouts paintings, and I made a chart on stitch fiddle. And I want to make two kind of matching, they're going to be kind of like banners, kind of long and skinny, or kind of like end pieces, and then put maybe a real painting in the center, like a print in the center. So let's open them and then I'll show you. I haven't looked at these yet. I'll show you what I got. I went for yarn by Lion Brand. Ooh, this is soft. This is the Color Theory line by Two of Wands. And all of a sudden, like already, I'm really impressed with how soft this acrylic is. I don't usually work with acrylic. When I do work with acrylic, I'm usually doing a crochet project. And I guess it's just because I am not as like skilled at crochet, and so I don't want to invest a lot of money into the materials that I'm using. And then also I don't see the point in buying wool to hang up on my wall, to be honest with you. So I really liked the Matisse colors, but that doesn't really match the vibe that I have in my apartment. I have this rug that has a lot of kind of like a turquoise, I'm looking at it right now, a mustard yellow, a deep terracotta red, and a kind of baby pink. So I wanted to play off those colors. You know, I have that pink here, I have this blue pillow back there, and I just wanted to kind of play off the colors that I already have in my apartment. So this is going to be the background color. This is the colorway Moonbeam. It's really pretty. It's just kind of a gray toned white color. I think that'll anchor the pieces nicely. And then I wanted to do two different colors for the flowers. So this is the colorway Tourmaline, which is a really pretty kind of, you know, aquamarine, tealy, light teal color. The last one is the colorway Dijon. And again, these are so soft. I wonder if they'll be squeaky when making. I'll let you guys know. This is my first time working with this specific acrylic. In the past, I made a blanket last year, and I made it with, I think, Red Heart Super Saver, and then I made a crop top a year earlier in, I think, the Michaels, the Yarn Inspirations, their brand of acrylic. So I'm excited about these colors. The whole line is set up, I believe, so that, you know, you really can't pick a wrong palette, and they're really kind of these pretty muted colors, but they're really pretty. They're beautiful. So very excited to start this project. I think I'm gonna start it after after I'm done with my sweater, and, you know, play around with some color work and like tapestry crochet. I had been wanting to make a homeware for my apartment for a little bit now, so I'm very excited about that. Looking at this, there was like a bright yellow, and I'm kind of maybe regretting going with this, but it actually really, I have a blanket, and it really matches This is a Barefoot Dreams blanket. It's pretty nice. It goes well with the Barefoot Dreams. Well, it's a little more yellow, especially on camera, but in person, they kind of match well. Better than a bright yellow would. So that's what I have for my little tapestry project. I literally haven't told my boyfriend about this yet, but, you know, I don't see him crocheting something to hang up on our wall. I think he'll like it. And then I think I want to put, yeah, I said that, put a painting in the center. So we'll see how that goes. I'm really excited about that. You know, maybe it looks like shit, but maybe it doesn't. These are the possibilities. All right. So I think that covers my future planning. Like I said, super more in-depth video. Also, my cat's licking herself. I don't think you can hear that. Okay. I got these AirPods for my birthday, and the noise canceling is like I'm in the cone of silence. It's really nice, but a little scary. So with that, let's talk about what I've been watching and listening to this month. It's no secret that I am a huge reality television fan, and depending on how closely you follow American reality television, there was a big bombshell in the Bravo community this month with the scandal of Vanderpump Rules. So I've been really in deep in consuming reality television, consuming Bravo podcasts. So I'm sorry if this is redundant, but this is the reality of my life. So I said, I think in my last episode, that me and my boyfriend are watching The Sopranos. We're still doing that. So most nights we'll watch The Sopranos, but then Tuesday nights is our Vanderpump Rules night, and I'm making him go back and watch all of Vanderpump Rules from the beginning, which is appropriate considering all this drama that went on. Basically, if you're not, you know, attuned to Vanderpump Rules, two cast members have been dating for about 8 or 9 years, and it came out that the guy was cheating on his girlfriend with a cast member, with another cast member who was a close friend. So it was very scandalous. I've been listening to all the Bravo podcasts, keeping up on all the goss, you know, I would say it's a guilty pleasure, but like I'm not even guilty. Like I actually think reality television is so fascinating, and Vanderpump Rules is one of those shows where every single person has like very deep flaws and no one's good, you know? And I think that's kind of beautiful and also insane. And you might be saying like, oh, Amanda, are you glorifying like shitty people? No, I'm reading about them from afar, you know? I'm having intellectual discussions with my friends about, you know, all of this. But I do think there is something, like, and I talk about this a lot, like I do think there's something really fascinating about reality TV, how it is kind of a lens for popular culture and how it's a lens to kind of like the society that it's from, right? And the culture that it's from. I could really go into this. I think I'll hold off for now, but I do think there's something to be said about it, and I am picky about my reality television, though. I don't like reality television that takes itself too seriously. Like things like The Bachelor, I don't like. I don't think they do enough like breaking of the fourth wall. I think everyone takes themselves too seriously. I think it's kind of been ruined by people becoming Instagram, you know, just wanting to be Instagram famous, which is fine, but it just like, okay, whatever. And I think if you go back and kind of watch older seasons of any reality television before the dawn of social media, it's just so much better, for better or for worse. And we're seeing that now in the most recent season of Love is Blind. Spoilers for the first 5 episodes. I've been watching that. I feel contractually obligated to watch Love is Blind. I feel like I had such a visceral and like strong chemical reaction in my brain when I watched it right before the pandemic. And every season since then has just been wildly disappointing. So like wildly disappointing. I'm sorry. They all suck. And this season's been interesting, but there's 2 girls in particular that I think they're getting the villain at it. You have to, you know, remember that producers are trying to create a storyline. They're getting the villain at it, but I also think they tried to like manipulate people to stay on the show because it doesn't seem like they're in very good matches. That's what I'll say. And they're just kind of mean. And I don't really like that. But it's good TV. But is it good TV? I don't even know. Sometimes Love is Blind takes itself too seriously where I'm like, this is dumb. And like all these people are dumb. No one asked me my opinion.
Editing Amanda here to also jump in and say that I absolutely detest Vanessa and Nick Lachey. I don't understand what they add to the show. They're horrible reunion hosts. They're so bad. Literally watch any Housewives reunion to get a case study from Mr. Andrew Cohen on how to properly host a reality television reunion. Then get back to me. And if I never had to see Nick or Vanessa Lachey on my television ever again, it would have come a day too late. You know, I'm sick of it. And I needed you to know that I think that.
But here I am. So yes, I've been watching all the reality TV. I've been keeping up with my Bravo shows. So Vanderpump Rules. I've been rewatching it and watching the new episodes. Watching New Jersey, and then also watching Summer House, which has been very boring because everyone's too old for that show now. And this is not me maligning old people, but it should be a show about like 20-somethings going out and getting drunk and making out in the Hamptons. And so far it's been about people like going to bed at 11:30 and going to Barry's boot camp in the morning. And you are so free to live your truth. My life looks more like that. But for that reason, I don't want to watch that on my television. Like I want to watch mess. And it's just been kind of like, kind of sad almost. So I wish I had maybe something a little more intellectual to share with you. Oh, you know what I listen to? You're gonna be like, that's not intellectual at all, Amanda. I have really been into Celebrity Memoir Book Club, the podcast. I don't listen to all their episodes. I kind of pick and choose to see which celebrities sound interesting to me, and it's exactly what it sounds like. These two girls read celebrity memoirs and kind of critique them, poke at them, or, you know, they review them. I usually listen to all the housewives and some other, you know, celebrities, but they recently did an episode on Paris Hilton's memoir, and I thought it was really interesting. And it's not necessarily a book I would pick up, I would go for or search out, but Paris talks about her time in kind of like the troubled teen industry, and it was very shocking. Like, trigger warning, like definitely sensitivity warning for kind of the content they discuss in that. But I thought it was extremely interesting, and I mean, it was very dark and horrible to hear that all this happened to her, and that of course it happens to a bunch of teenagers across America and I think Canada. It was just, it's really effed up. It's really messed up. So I thought that was interesting. Here are just some things, you know, for you to munch on, to crunch on, to noodle on. Yeah, so that sums up the media section. I've really been enveloped in the reality television, and hey, I'm real, you know? Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode today. Like I said beginning earlier in the episode, I really appreciate you all being here. I'm close to 5K subscribers, which is crazy. I really want to do something special to commemorate that, so I've been thinking about things that I might want to do, but let me know what you would like to see for kind of a special celebration, and I will hopefully see y'all soon. Bye.